Let's move on to our next section, which is we are extremely delighted to launch the May 2025 edition of Voice, our Mumbai chapter newsletter. And to introduce this, I invite Tadaya Ajrekar, Director Research and Publication, Vertical. Tadaya, over to you.
Thanks, Anne. So hello, everybody. I am delighted to launch the May 2025 edition of the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapters newsletter. We call it The Voice. So you must have seen that we're working hard as a team to continue to edit, modify, include as much variety of things that we can offer you that are coming from the members, from the corporate visits that the chapter members are doing. So this issue is featuring a heartfelt piece titled Confessions of a Not So Confident Coach. That's a candid reflection on navigating self-doubt in the early stages of a coaching journey. We're also bringing to you a thoughtful review of the book called Quiet Leadership that offers practical insights for enhancing and performance. And our corporate voice section is sharing powerful moments from the International Coaching Week visit that we had at the organization. So where coaching is making real impact. So there is inspiration, there is learning, there is community spirit on every page. So we are inviting you to indulge in this month's newsletter. And we also invite you to contribute your thoughts, your articles to our newsletter for the next month. Thank you.
So, thank you, Tadaya. Thank you for sharing this vibrant showcase of what's moving and inspiring a community. Now, let's delve into our feature session for the day. This is engaging, empowering, and elevating the heart of coaching, a special masterclass by two of our very own master certified coaches. I'm pleased to welcome Sunil Verma. Sunil is the founder of CTB, an ICF accredited coaching school and international talent firm, a long-standing member of ICF Global. Formerly head of learning and talent Europe at Standard Chartered Bank, he brings deep cross-country experience across banking, IT, and hospitality. He serves on the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter as the Director of Credentialing Support. He is also the founding president of the Holistic Wellness Foundation, promoting success with wellness, an alumnus of IMD Switzerland, IIM Lucknow. Sunil is a sought-after international speaker on coaching and leadership and a passionate student of yoga and Indian wisdom traditions. Along with him, we also have Dr. V.K. Sharma. He is an accomplished coach and a business leader with over 3 decades of experience spanning coaching, consulting, pharma, leadership, public speaking, and academia. With over 4,200 plus coaching hours across 650 clients, he holds multiple global certifications, including one from Marshall Goldsmith and from John Mitchell. He has held senior positions in leading pharmaceutical companies and is a represented visiting faculty at institutions like IIMs and IITs. Widely recognized with honors like Leadership and Life Coach of the Year, he is also the author of 5 best-selling books and a frequent keynote speaker at national and international forums. He currently serves as the secretary for the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. Welcome, Sunil and Vinod, and over to you.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you, ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. I believe that this theme of engaging the heart of coaching is truly transformational. And the tireless work that has gone in to make this happen is deeply appreciated. With that, I want to start this masterclass along with Vinod Sharma by saying that before we create enduring outcomes, transformational outcomes for our clients, we need to elevate, engage, and empower our inner work first. So that's the central idea I'm proposing. And as we go forward, we will explore together what could help us really engage the heart of coaching for our clients. Vinod, before I launch in, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Sunil. I just wanted to pick up somewhere where Sanjeev was seeing his lab, and I was just making notes. he was talking for the best of performance. The mental and body alignment is very important in archery. At the same time, extending here, heart alignment is also important for the compassionate coaching. So from body alignment to mental alignment, now we are going to talk about heart alignment also. That's the next there. And somewhere where he spoke about, maintaining calm as all the time, don't react about the, great leaders. And the moment of pleasure, moment of excellence, they may not hear you. But you have kind of heart connect with your coaching, your heart connect with your leaders. Then all the time they are with you. And that's where you're trying to talk about this coaching through heart.
Thank you. So as we get started, I also want to let everybody know that this masterclass will be done in two halves, really. So first half is being led by me, and then I hand over to Dr. Vinod Kumar Sharma, and then we do a Q&A together at the end if required. So the central idea that I'm here to share with you is that the success of any intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener. This comes from this gentleman, Otto, who's actually a thought leader, who in 2023 realized that sustainable goals are not being achieved or can be achieved much better if there was better leaders to sort of support it at every step. I draw a lot from his work in my own MCC journey and also in the coaching school and mentoring that I lead. And I'm going to quote him quite often in today's masterclass as well. So first of all, if we want to look at success, it's important for me to put a stake in the ground and share with you how I'm looking at success in this quote, previous quote by Otto. So for me, success in coaching is to start an emotional contagion. So as you know, emotions are very contagious. As we coach, as we engage the heart of the people that we touch, it is potentially dynamite because it can start that positive emotional contagion in the organizations that we work in, which really starts a culture of people within the organization empathizing with each other, caring for each other, and acting in response to each other's feelings. Now, over the next 40 minutes, we will travel through various aspects of this, but I also want to share that there is a thing called social contagion. And we are all contributing it through our work every day. So as we engage the heart of people, we are contributing to a societal culture that starts high quality relationships in the lives of our clients, and that is contagious too. So we are really one coaching session at a time, changing the world in our own way. And that's the viewpoint of success that I come from as I speak to you today. Over the next 40 minutes, we will travel through these three levels of engaging the heart. So first one is really the inner work of a coach, and it is expanding. The identity of a coach is expanding as we speak, and therefore the inner work that we need to do also is expanding. And I'm going to offer you some frameworks for that. And the second section that I'm covering is really about sharing with you some empowering scientific evidence and some new mental models to create the success that I spoke about. And in the end, some best practices, some practical takeaways as to how you can make it happen in your own practice. So first, let's go into the expanding inner work of a coach. So this gentleman, Otto, that I quoted earlier in my session, he was instrumental in creating this framework. I hope you can see it clearly.
Yes.
And what it's proposing is that all leaders in our society, particularly coaches, need to look at their own inner work through these 5 lenses. So first of all, if we start from the left, being is really deepening our own relationship with ourselves, our thoughts, our feeling, our body. And when we do that, we start to create a different presence that we bring to our coaches. A presence that is intentional and not reactive, not incidental. So that's the being part of the work, and there are 5 aspects of it listed under it. And the second one is thinking, which is really about taking different perspectives and seeing the world as an interconnected whole. When I was on my journey to MCC, I thoroughly used this model to really think about my own journey in terms of where I was with different aspects of this framework. Now, if you look at the center, the red column, that is about relating. And to me, that is the heart of coaching. Because on the left-hand side, the 2 columns are talking about what we have to offer, what we bring to our clients and the society and the organizations we work with. And right in the center is how we actually take it to the world. So you may have great offerings, you may have great thoughts and thinking patterns, or even coaching skill, but it is your relating skills that allow you to collaborate and act. So collaboration is really about the social skills, which is about including others, holding space for others, communicating and mobilizing, activating others. And the last column, acting, is really about acquiring true agency. A true agency that generates original ideas and acts with persistence. Now, if you want to connect the left 2 columns with the right 2 columns, you can't do that without the relating skills, because collaboration and acting with others is really weakened if you don't have the relating skills. So what is this central column of relating with others? So it is about appreciating and caring for and feeling connected with people that we work with. They may be our primary clients or secondary clients or even some other stakeholders. And as we do that, we need to create systems that engage and empower these clients. And that's what this central column is about. I want to take a pause here and invite any thoughts or questions that are coming to your mind before we go ahead. Feel free to speak out or type your questions in the chat box. And Anne, I'd request for your help to pick out the questions and share. And while we are waiting for your question, I also want to add that relating sorry.
Yeah, Sunil, while I'm feeling constrained to put on my video, but I have a question. Could you share with us what exactly or how you would put yourself in all of these 5, states of being? There's being, there's thinking, relating, collaborating. At which stage were you where? Just like sort of a live use case example of your own self.
Yeah.
Just help us understand it better.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've been coaching for about 15 years, Priya. And since you asked when was I where, let me relate this model to that 15-year-old journey.
Yes, that'll be lovely.
So the initial 5 years were really spent on being a coach and thinking like a coach. So really acquiring the being side of the coach and the doing coaching. That's the process of coaching. And as you know, our coaching education really heavily stresses on being and thinking stroke doing. And that is really, to me, the stages through my ACC journey. But when I started as an entrepreneur 8 years ago, I actually started the CTB School of Coaching. And I also started my own private practice as a coach and also building coaching culture in large organizations. And then I started to realize that in order to really take that refined state of being and the deep thoughts and skill of coaching to the world, I really needed to up my relating ability, which included looking at the entire coaching ecosystem as a whole, in fact, the whole world as an interconnected whole. And I think that that has been the most significant part of my journey, which happened between my PCC and my MCC credentials. I'm relating it to credentials because those are the stages most of us relate to. But really, working on the inner world is what differentiates or enables mastery, according to me. I'm still a student of it, and I'm continuing to work on aspects like connectedness, which is about accessing my intuition and really seeing all of us as an interconnected whole. So that's the short answer, Priya.
Yeah, yeah. And so, just a leading question from that, that none of this really ever ends. It begins at certain stages in life, but it's a work in progress all the time, right?
All the time. And actually, that's a nice segue into the thought that I was presenting next, which is really about relating being the vehicle on which we take our coaching prowess in an effective way to impact the world around us. And this can be a tool to identify and to understand where we are, identify what we need to work upon, and then communicate with our mentors or our supervisors, and then really develop and integrate these learnings into our practice. I see another hand up. Is it Sandeep Kalra?
Yeah, Sunil.
I can't see you, Sandeep, but I can hear you.
Okay.
There you are.
Huh. So you beautifully explained how sequential these steps are, Sunil. What one needs to guard against so that we don't slip back, because that's very important as you were explaining the way you have evolved. So what are the factors which one as a coach needs to guard against so that we don't slip back?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Sandeep. So what my experience has been that a journey of coaching mastery without a good framework to hold together your reflective practice can be very messy, can be complex to say the least, but it can get messy. And it becomes messy when in your reflective practice, you start to use different lenses to look at yourself. And that's what leads to the mess. So what I want to guard against in your journey is that keep one holistic framework to lead your reflective practice and stay with it. So
Okay.
also see Pramod Solanki. Go ahead, Pramod. Pramod, I can't hear you. I think you're still on.
I had not unmuted myself. You can hear me now, right?
Yes, please.
So Sunil, obviously the kind of work that is involved in being and thinking and the natural progression will be supported towards relating and then the rest of it. But will it be fair to say that some of us carry a natural advantage, inherent advantage
Yes.
of a mindset of being a coach? Because we all know that for some of us, appreciation, connectedness, humility, empathy, and compassion, these over and above the skills, these are also parts of mindset. So therefore, some would have a distinct advantage and others may have to work quite hard to get to that level. Will that be fair to say?
So Pramod, thank you for this reflection and this rather deep question. So in fact, I'm a big fan of strength coaching or strength-centered approach to coaching. And I firmly believe that when you look at these 5 columns and this integrated model, all of us have areas that we are naturally good at.
Yeah.
And in that sense, every coach that I have trained, mentored, or certified, or every client that I've coached, or every organization that I've entered, I found that they are quite good at certain parts of it. In fact, I would go as far as saying that they have some strengths in every column.
Yes.
And you really need to find that bright spot and start expanding it in order to really strengthen their practice or whatever they are working upon. And that's really the good news.
Mhm.
And leading on from your question, Pramod, I also want to highlight that this language actually relates beautifully and somewhat directly to ICF coaching competencies. So, for example, things like empathy and compassion, or co-creation, trust. Yeah, so learning mindset, authenticity, integrity, presence, self-awareness. And this is really the good news, that most of us have our strengths and we just need to identify, understand fully, and then communicate with our mentors and supervisors what our needs are. I see that Sanjeev Bhatia has raised his hand. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Sunil, I think I could understand this progression step by step. I was wondering, or maybe I need some more explanation on the second step, the thinking, cognitive skills. How much the critical thinking um, and the kind of complexities, awareness, all these things are so important for a coach to be aware of.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So a lot of the coaching that we do is actually about generating critical thinking and therefore better decision making by our clients. And that really requires us to have some mental models, some frameworks, some skills to generate or evoke that critical thinking through incisive questions. The second thing you pointed out was complexity awareness. And this is really being able to see different layers that actually exist in a client's work or our work with the client. So earlier on, Priya used a phrase that it's really an ongoing journey and you're never done with this. And the layers keep appearing. So even with one client, as we are coaching them, it's like milestone after milestone. There are complex layers in the work that they are doing. Let's say I'm working with a large organization in creating the coaching culture. So one layer is simply, do we see the need to engage the heart and minds of people? The second layer is really how do we upskill the people leaders to get there? But the journey doesn't end there. There are several other complex layers. So once the skill is developed, where are the avenues to create opportunities for coaching? How are we going to reward the coaches? What's in it for the coaches, etc., etc. So our work really is as leaders of or change agents is really to see and anticipate what the client will need next. And that is what this complexity awareness is about, because the clients are not aware what they need next, but we are there to work with them through our cognitive skills and thinking by anticipating what's coming next. And I guess in your work as our leader of the chapter, you do quite a lot of this.
Yeah, so what I understood from you is all about having the context in place to understand the context of the client's area, their domain and understanding, and then applying all this cognitive skills during the coaching, right? If I've understood clearly.
Brilliantly summarized. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Shalini, yes, please.
Yeah. Hi, Sunil.
Hi.
And so the framework that I can see, Sunil, is brilliant, and there is a little more clarity that I'm looking for. That one thing is when you say being. So the way of being is keep on changing. There is no fixed being that we have. So as per the even a little thought, a little emotion can transform the being from one to another. So how do we maintain that being, or what do you exactly this being of coaching, or being what? So that is one question. And the relating question is thinking, because a lot of time we say that as a coach, we need to be very much present without having any thoughts and thinking in our minds, like maintaining the presence of like being nothing. If I relate like two of the things. So when we are nothing, and we want to really be present to what the coachee or the client has to say, and we do not have any agenda or thought or anything that coming in our way when we are there in our coaching presence. So can you please help me in relating these two things together, like being and what do you exactly mean by like thinking?
Yeah, thank you. That's a beautiful question, a complex one, but a very relevant one. So let me first give you a metaphor for that being nothing phrase that you use. Being nothing can be confusing. So let me give you a metaphor of a flute. So in the process of music making, the coach is what a flute is. But really, there is no output unless the client's breath, unless the client's being is engaged into it. So that's really to resolve that nothingness dilemma. And to answer your first part, I will actually need to emphasize two things. Number one is, what is a coach's relationship to himself or herself actually directly sets the tone of the coaching. So I'm just going to go into some empowering research by Richard Boyatzis, which really is about the coach's presence arousing either the PNS or the SNS. And earlier, Neil Mani Singh alluded to it, and I'm just going deeper into that research. So the phrase that Richard uses is coaching for compliance vis-a-vis coaching with compassion. So this state of being of the coach actually sets the tone for the coaching and how you approach coaching. So more evolved coaches see it as an exercise in compassion. I see that there are some coaches who are more coming from the training or mentoring sort of approach, who see it as an opportunity to correct or make people to comply. But what happens is, if you take the latter approach, you may end up arousing the analytical thinking or analytical network of our brain, which is really about fight and flight. And that can lead us down into a rabbit hole of fixing weaknesses or analyzing problems, setting expectations, etc. Compare this to a more positive approach or compassionate approach to coaching, which is led by the being of the coach, which really evokes the neural networks of the client that are about possibilities and dreams, optimism and hope. And that is also activating the part of the brain that is at peace in resting and digesting new learning, integrating new ways of being. So if you take a go at this framework, and if you're trying to work on your being, the first thing is that working on compassion, working on your own self-awareness and presence, because that presence will decide what sort of neural networks are we activating in our clients. And that could be as simple as the tone with which you open the session or what you say first up in your session. So Raja Jabir, you go next, and Anne after that. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Sunil, I have a question here. So in each pillar of the framework, there are different components. Like, for example, the being is the inner compass onward. Do I, as a coach, have to encompass all of these at every pillar? Or do you think that maybe a percentage of it at least? Or so how do you see it being? Do I, as a coach, have to cover all the pillars and all the components within it? I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. And you're already reflecting, Raja, as I hear you. I'm noticing that you're already using this model for some reflective practice and you're planning ahead for it. So here is
Sajay, before you go ahead, just connecting this question. This one is from Mohan Sripada. So while you respond to Raja, you could also talk about how does one, measure the progress. While all of these are connected, how does one measure progress?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And how much time do I have left?
Well, let's take this question, but we are slightly behind time.
Okay. So, Raja, to answer your question, we all begin with our strengths. And as I said earlier, when you reflect in company of a mentor or supervisor, or just on your own, you will realize that there are bright spots of strengths in every column that each one of us has. And I think that is the start point. And rather than identifying things to fix in each column, what I would recommend is that you broaden your bright spots. So I'll give you an example. As I was working on my relating skills, one of my strengths was connectedness. So I was able to see, the connectedness between me and others. But the thing that I was not doing enough was appreciation in my coaching. Okay, so my mentors actually encouraged me to stay focused on my sense of connectedness and empathy. And that automatically covered, as I expanded and broadened those skills, that automatically brought in appreciation and positive reinforcement in my coaching. So my suggestion to you will be that don't worry about ticking all the boxes, but really focus at broadening the strengths that you have in each column, and therefore master that overall domain rather than each bullet point or sub-competency here. Raja, so that was the question.
Can I just clarify a small thing? So as a coach, do you work with your clients to cover all these pillars of the framework, or is this for you as a coach to grow and improve?
Great question again. So primarily it is for me to reflect and refine my own coaching practice. And yet this is a fantastic framework to develop leaders in any organization. So I have used it for leadership development as well.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So time check. Anne, is it time to hand over to Dr. Vinod Sharma?
Yeah, you have 5 minutes, or else we can hand over. Then we can come back to you with the when everybody else has any other questions.
Yeah. So if I have a few more minutes, I would like to use them.
5 more minutes. Yes, of course.
Okay, great. Great. So there is something significant that I quickly want to browse through. So I earlier quoted Richard Boyatz's research, and there are some clear implications for your coaching practice when it comes to engaging the heart of others through your presence. So the first thing is that where are your emotions as a pattern before you start a coaching session? And it's a fantastic aspect of your coaching to journal about. So what I recommend is that start journaling where your emotions tend to be just before you are about to start a coaching session. And also notice where your emotions are when you end a coaching session. And that will tell you a story about your presence and how you activate the neuro networks of your client through your presence. So please journal, and then that will tell you a very insightful story. The second implication for your coaching practice is to really develop a pre-session routine that brings you into that rest and digest state, that a kind of a presence that will be resonant for your coachee. So earlier, when we were talking about being, this is an important part of your being and also your relating skills. So really accessing your compassion, your empathy before you go into a coaching session. And different people use different techniques, but some people have affirmations written on their workstations that they go through religiously. Some people just like breathing deep or hydrating themselves. I have also mentored coaches who love to eat a piece of chocolate before they go into their coaching session, because that really allows them to access their empathy before they step into a coaching session. So there is something unique that you need to find out about yourself as you start your coaching session. And finally, here is something that is a 7-layer task for you, really. And that comes from some work I do with people who are on their level 2 journey, which is really how alive are you to yourself and how alive are you to the people around you. And it is like really spending time at the base camp, acclimatizing yourself, and then climbing the presence peak. But this one we will leave for another day, because if I go on with this, I will be encroaching Dr. Vinod Kumar Sharma's time. So Anne, back to you and Dr. Vinod Kumar Sharma.
Thank you, Sunil. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for setting the tone. So now in the second part of the session, Sunil has shared wonderful some theories and wonderful, you can say, different framework. So I'll be talking more about some nuggets which I picked up regarding the coaching from the heart, compassionate coaching during my journey. And as we progress, we'll be talking about, we'll taking your questions and through chat also, as well as you can speak up also anytime. Just share my slides. So moving forward, to some basic understanding, see, coaching is a journey and not an event or kind of one conversation. And in this process, we need to travel together. When I say we need to travel together, it's a coach and coachee. And when they travel together, it's a time where there's a lot of hand holding or the taking coaching in that journey. If you look at say basic definition, as just coaches, your job is to basically taking coaching from one place to another place. And there, that's where it's a from a smooth journey, that trust and connectivity with the heart is more important. And that's where in the morning session, where Sanjeeva Singh has mentioned, we're connected from the heart. And that's where I can say a compassionate coaching or coaching for heart that get into place. Okay. Some principle talking about it before I get into more practical nuggets, as I mentioned. Here is a mention on the understanding and sharing the client emotion and experience, creating a deep connection with the client or the coachee, and foster a non-judgmental environment where the client feel more comfortable about exploring their thoughts, feeling, and challenge. It's incorporate a strength-based approach, focus on identifying and building upon client existing strengths. And the compassionate coaching involve helping the client envision their ideal self, their vision of who they want to be, and using the vision to guide the change process. It helps in the aiming to create a state of openness and receptiveness with the client, enabling them to more open with the new ideas and the changes. So with this background, some of the different nuggets I'm going to talk about, almost 7 of them. I'll try to take 5 minutes for each of that, and that's how we're moving on. Talking about first, it's about compassionate coaching. We're beginning with the rapport building. Most of the time during the coaching journey, we talk about rapport building as a first exercise or something first begin with the coaching. But in the rapport building, we need to connect somewhere deep with the client in the beginning itself. Now, this connect can be from our background. This connect can be from the culture, like in India, where different cultures are there. This connect can be for different hobbies. This connect can be from different career path we are coming from, or different, you can say, introduction we share. Even just to share, during the epic of Mahabharata, when during the kingdom time or something, when somebody asks Arjun his introduction, he say always, I am Pandu Putra Arjun. But when in the battlefield, when somebody asks Arjun who you are, he says Drona Shishya Arjun. So our introduction also is helpful in using the rapport building. And once we have a smooth rapport building, then connecting the heart, or you can say compassionate coaching start from there. Another sometime issue we do, or can say something nuggets which I learned is that instead of only limiting our rapport building to the first session, and rapport building is also continuous process during second session also, third session also, it keep on evolving. So more our rapport building is better, more heart connectivity is better. And more heart connectivity is better, then smooth your coaching journey will be. So that is how I use a lot on the rapport building in my, you can say, connecting with the heart with the client, or the compassionate coaching, and will lead to trust building also. Now to take it further, I'll just ask Nandini. If you can put up the first poll, and let's see how the people reply. Nandini, can you launch a poll?
Yes, Vinod, I'm launching.
Okay.
Now, there's some technical issues, so it's not getting launched. I'm just trying to launch it. In the meantime, if you want, you can put the question in the chat box.
Okay, then we can continue. Let's. So coming to the second nuggets which I learned about is that the understanding pain concern when something is not only showing. Working with the client, working with the coachee, sometimes we may show up, okay, what is the concern we have. But different people have different concerns. So I was working with one of the production chemists, and this production chemist, the major concern is that he is not able to address the gathering. I asked him, why you need to address the gathering? He said, once in 2 years, 3 years, I need to gather, but that bothers me more. So sometimes we do not know what is bothering the person. So different people can have different pain concern, and if you show up, what is something bothering you, it connect with the heart. When people who come from executive coaching, people come from the leadership coaching, but the actual concern can be different, actually deep lying. And unless we does not connect with the heart, we does not do this compassionate coaching, and those things remain unresolved. So a lot of work can be done if you more understand the pain, there are more concerns. Okay.
Can I ask the first question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Do you actively use rapport building phase in compassionate coaching? Your options are yes, very actively, 2, sometimes, 3, not yet. I repeat the question. Do you actively use rapport building phase in compassionate coaching? Options yes, very actively, 2, sometimes, 3, not yet.
Almost everyone's answer responded as
Almost everyone is on the same line.
as
So that's where I'm saying it's a practical nuggets, and which I think the most of people are doing. Okay. Going to another thing is that there is a concern always behind the concern. One concern being shown and other concern may be existing. It is something like a hypothesis. When people are coming with you for a coaching, they may be saying something, but they may be having different concern which they are not able to elaborate. And there we need to look at, say, more of hypothesis, what may be there as a principle of leadership also. As we represent people, people are not able to say what is bothering them, what is bringing down their performance, or what is coming in the way. Can we help or can we give the word and the helping them to diagnose this problem? So this, while connecting with the heart, this idea, understanding people, the concern behind the concern, which they're not able to spell out, that also help in the compassionate coaching. Yeah, and you have some question?
I was just requesting if we can put it on slideshow.
It's not on slide?
It's not on slideshow.
Sorry. Now it's there? Okay. So basically helping our coaching to diagnose the real concern, helping coaching to give the real words which they are not able to express, is the helping or say connecting people with the more of with the heart. Anybody has any questions around it? Okay. So moving next. During the coaching, what is very often happen when we meet, say, coachee first time, the coachee tell a story. But the second session, coachee change the story. Or you can say 10%, 20%, 30%. Meeting third time, coachee further change the story. So there is always second, third, fourth version in the shift in the story. And every time when we pick up the new story, question comes, do we ask any coachee why there is a change in the story, why the change in the version, or do we understand? I always prefer to understanding that there may be some reason. In fact, I was working with one of my CXO coach, and he's heading a couple of companies. First 3 of the session, the person was off camera. I need not ask him why he's not putting on the camera. There may be some reason. And by the 4th session, he comes on the camera, and then we went on to more than 20 sessions. So different people have different stories to tell, different reasons to tell. And somewhere we understand the different versions. The moment person changing the version in the different session, picking up that and understanding what may be happening, what may be the reason in the past, and why this person was not talking about it. Okay. So if I can ask Nandini, if you can put up the poll number
Yes.
4.
Poll number 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it is working, let's see.
Okay. When coachee changes the story, do you ask or understand? I repeat, when coachee changes the story, do you ask or understand? The options are ask, understand.
Reply in chat box or anybody wanted to talk about.
So we mostly have divided responses with both, but we do
responses.
but we do have some where we say somebody says that Preeti says I state my observation. Priya and Karthik say that we ask to understand.
First, I try to go back to Preeti. Preeti, can you mention? You can speak about more. Even state my observation.
Yeah, sure, Vinod. Thank you for this. So, as a coach, when I notice something, as you said, that, a client has a story and suddenly he has moved to a different narrative. So, as a curious coach, I would state it out saying that, you were having this story and now I see that you have shifted from story A to story B. Is there anything that you would like to elaborate or share? So that makes it more open-ended for him or her to place. First of all, maybe without awareness, he or she has moved his story, brings that to the awareness, and then gives the client the choice to state whether they want to share with me or go back to the old story or stay with it. So it's like all options are open with the client with this stating my observation.
And what kind of response you get then, Preeti?
So I think the response is immaterial because it all depends. Basis the response, then the coaching proceeds forward. As I said, if the client wants to stay with the story, we continue with it. If the client says, "Oh, I didn't realize that I have moved my story, but this is more important to me," we move back to the earlier story. So there could be any outcome that comes out of it.
Okay. And just go to Karthik. Karthik, you mentioned ask to understand. Can you elaborate a little more? Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Vinod. There are times when the coachee has changed the story, and there are times when in the changed story there may be a certain part of an earlier version. Yeah. And then there are newer aspects that have come up. So, in order to deepen the understanding, obviously, I will need to first state what is it that I have understood and also state what is it that I have not understood, and then ask a question so that the understanding can happen at a deeper level. Thanks.
And thank you, Karthik. Yeah, actually, you have some question.
Yeah, hi. Can I ask?
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, so Vinod, as you said that do we need to understand or ask? So I believe as a coach, we always prefer to ask to the client to understand what is there. And without asking is if we are understanding anything, we call it assumptions, right? So if a coach if a coach is like to the client is during the coaching sessions, if the client is changing stories, so there could be any reason. Quite possible the initially the client was not open. So after a while, taking coaching sessions, the client has become more open, or maybe the client got certain insights or discoveries. So he or she is shifting, or maybe unknowingly, right? But I would always prefer to ask rather than giving my assumptions that this is what I believe. So that's what my point is. So can you please elaborate on that? I mean, if you have any other meaning of that understanding, I'm not getting that.
Yes. One is that not asking is not necessarily assuming. There is a different coach has different style. There are all three options exist, like you see in the chat box. People have mentioned. Some like Preeti has mentioned, I ask. Like Prashant has mentioned, I understand. And where Karthik has mentioned, ask to understand, or there's a mix of two. So it's a different coach can have different way of doing it, but it is not assumption. It is when we are connected with some person more from heart, more emotional connect is there. But there is a one element we understand, or you can say I understand. Now, and then something I'm not understanding, either I'm asking question or maybe I'm from the different other whatever coach is saying. I comprehend both the things to make my understanding. Even if something there, I can further ask, but it is not assumption. I hope I'm able to reply you.
So Vinod, I still would say that because you're saying that all coaches have different approach. I completely agree to what you said. And even a lot of time we understand. I mean, we all have the we all are human beings. We have the capacity for mind reading and a lot of other things we do, right? And still when you so I just would like to quote. I mean, I remember that when I was coaching my client in a session, and that in like at one point of time the client smiled. Now when somebody smiles And we can take it like, I mean, maybe the client gets some insight, or maybe some happy moment came in the mind, so the client is smiling and all. So instead of just moving ahead, I just thought of asking that, I mean, I can see a smile, I mean, what does that mean to you? And the client said that I could remember a very sad incident. And let me tell you that I could never relate that the client could be smiling because of the sad incidents. I mean, the client is smiling, but the client is sad. So, I mean, that is my point, that even if we understand a lot of time, which is correct also, but asking is always better approach. That's what I believe. Thank you.
I'll just let you before I go to Dexter. Previous session, Pramod Solanki mentioned a point. He mentioned just that some people have inherent mindset as an advantage of the coach. So some people, what happened, and my answer could have been yes. Some people, their understanding is better. Some people may not be, and there's nothing wrong about it. That's why both the approach is not something good or bad. But where you're talking, say, coaching from heart, more you understand, more it is better. But it does not mean that asking is anything wrong. It's perfectly okay as a different coach, you pick up the different way of doing. Ultimately, we understand correctly, either by our own understanding, either mix of both, either by we have some kind of, kind of a strength or, God-given power that we understand faster, or we are asking. Yeah, Dexter, you have some point, please.
Yeah, thanks. This is such a fantastic question. I'll make it quick. David Eagleman in his book, The Brain, and his subsequent books also says that our memories are not based on a lot of fact or reality. It's based on some fact, some reality, and conjecture, which is basically our imagination and our explanations to ourselves put into visual form and attached to those memories. So every time we remember something, it is always going to be different. So keeping that in mind, when you hear different stories, it's an expected thing because new information has come in, new conjectures, and they've added to those memories. And the client and all of us believe that we are recalling everything as it was. We don't think we are telling more stories about it. So I always simply state what I have heard without saying it's different from what I heard earlier. Because we have to be client-centric and not coach-centric. And the moment I sit in judgment or offer judgment, it puts the client on the back foot. Then he's wondering now, am I in a battle with my coach? Am I, going to have to prove myself? So I simply say what I've heard and say, can you tell me more about it? I know what I'm hearing different, right? If I have kept notes or I remember that. So I can gently probe without saying that this is different to ask them to tell or reveal more about some elements of what they are telling me and ask for significance and say, I'd like to know about this. Is it of significance to you? Sometimes these embellishments don't really matter, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't look into them. But anyway, that's my take on this. It's important not to put the client on the back foot and make them feel judged or that they're being accused of changing their story. It's a deeply distressing thing to be told. You're changing your story to me. And what I heard then and what I heard now, two different things. Immediately, my reptilian brain is going to try and combat, and I have moved away from my cognitive brain. I've moved away from my empathic brain. I've moved away, and now I'm only fighting. So we may lose time and we may lose the whole plot in that process. I think we have to handle this very carefully. It's a wonderful question, This may take up a whole session, just this question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Another thing I want to mention is before going to Sandeep, previous part of this session, Sunil mentioned about intuition. Now, some of us use intuition more, some of us use intuition less. Again, it's a very subjective thing because person to person, their ability of the intuition differ. And person who got intuition or hunch, they are use a lot of that, and other person may not be. The question comes, is it right or wrong? No, it's not about right or wrong. Some people, yes, they're going to use it more. As from ICF point of view, it's everything right if you're using your intuition for the client benefit. But we need to be more self-aware in the journey. More you become self-aware. Okay, my intuition is normally correct, and that's why it helped me use it. If it does not help, then let us not go for understanding, then better go for asking. It's a different aspect, and it's more of our awareness help us. Yes, Sandeep, you have some question, please.
Yeah, I mentioned in the chat box also. My limited experience says that a lot of learning takes place in between the sessions, and especially in a long-term relation, a long-term coaching engagement, we find that these kind of things do happen when people are evolving in their own understanding, and genuinely so.
Yes.
So I have never challenged, but I use those metaphors and words and phrases as hook and ask them the significance of it, and they come out with full story themselves without asking for it, which becomes far more powerful in terms of engaging and relating also. That was my take on it.
Maybe Sandeep, can I say it's a first you try to understand, and something what is not there you go for asking or clarifying?
See, one is asking, then what Dexter mentioned, sometimes the client may feel challenged.
Yes.
And in case if rather than that asking, we use the words which are being or phrases, when there is a time constraint, otherwise I would have narrated a couple of my personal experiences on this, in which the client offers himself to change the goal as per the new understanding, because a lot of awareness has set in between the sessions because of the question which the coach has asked. So it'll be very difficult to pinpoint in terms of asking or understanding, but yeah, understanding the client more, the coachee more, and dancing with him, which we may cover in the next session, next event. So
Yes. So as we progress, as Sandeep has mentioned, our understanding with the client also goes up. But having said so, before moving further, I want to conclude that understanding is not assuming. And it is all three approach are correct, whether we are asking approach, whether understanding approach by mean of some intuition, or is a mix of all three. What is more important is our own self-awareness, which one you are using. And we are remain in the ICF framework. So we are not deviating. We are certainly not going in assuming one. Okay. So going further, another important for the coaching from the heart is understanding everyone is successful. When we say everyone is successful, when people come from through company for executive coaching, we look at a person is so and so development area, or person is not so successful in so and so work. But if you look at any individual, whether somebody is watchman, whether somebody is CXO, everyone has some success stories. Somewhere he is or she is successful. At the same time, everyone has some development goal to do. If we connect with the person, what has been success in his life as a whole, not only from the corporate life or personal life, as a whole life, what has been successful, what is the top success he or she can cherish. And from there we pick up and make a connect with the person with the heart, that always help. And that is where I have been using it, and it has been a lot of important for me. Now when you look at, say, success of the person's success can be serving the parent. He may not be so successful in his professional life. Person can be very successful in the taking care of the children's. He may not be so successful in the professional life. Person can be very successful in serving the community, or person can be successful simply by being a very good human being. So everyone is successful. And while picking up, while connecting with our coachee, if we look at where this person is successful, and this can connect to us to significant better way, and our mutual respect, our mutual trust increase. And if we try to connect with the coachee, can you tell me about your this success? and then let us see how we respond. So this way, connecting with the client on his success also impact your compassionate coaching or your heart connect with the person. Any questions around this? Or anybody wanted to share around this anything? Okay. Fair. Yeah, Satyajit,
I
want to say something, please.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else has raised their hand.
Vinodji, Samant here.
Yes.
It is similar like what Mr. Earlier he said, building upon the strengths. So the strengths are lying with the success, right? So it's the same building that and building the strength competency ahead. In terms of his current failures, he's not able to bring the strength competency, and probably those strength competencies are there in his past successes, right? So it's going back to the strength theory, right?
It's a little different when you connect with a person understanding his or her successes. I'm trying to say everybody is successful in different areas. So when you connect with a person, I speak to Satyajit or I understand from Satyajit, what has been your top success in the life? And Satyajit mentioned, okay, this place I am very successful. And that's we make a connect. That's what we build the trust. So our connect is always better. Our even rapport building is better.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
So, and if I may add, this is what the earlier session speaker, Mr. Sanjeeva Singh, was saying. That even with somebody who is very successful, when I want to raise his performance, I first acknowledge how successful and how well he has done, and then I say that, look, let's look at it. Can we still take it to the next level? So it's the same point that it helped build that connect, because he spoke about the success of that person first before talking about the area for improvement.
Yes, Pramod, I think it's the same point. Yes, what you mentioned is correct. Yes. Yeah, Priya.
Yeah, so, Vinod, I think this is a very valuable point, that every person has some success story to talk about, and it could be purely about them being human, if nothing else. And just making them aware of even that, is the beginning of awareness, beginning of discovery, beginning of just self-appreciation and belief, And even if they may have done the worst of things, that's why they say that the worst of criminals, it's important to counsel them, because somewhere there is goodness in them too, How can we bring that back? It's not about always being punishing. So in the coaching sessions, of course, here we are more aware, educated, successful people, or sometimes struggling people, but there is always success, and that becomes a point to connect with the people.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you
It
for
helps
this.
people give better understanding. Priya, many of the time coaches feel that I have not understood correctly.
Yeah.
And when we talk about it, he feel like I'm understood, or he or she is the person, my coach is a person who understands me correctly.
Correct. Yes.
That helps.
In fact, aap yakin nahi manenge, Vinod, there are so many instances where, when you get to that baseline of the person's goodness, it's a very emotional moment for them, because they haven't felt that good, that they haven't touched that goodness for a long time, And just being able to touch that makes them sort of, break that belief that ki bhai, I'm not good enough, or there's still hope. It sort of lights up a candle of hope, I believe. Yeah.
Yes. And Priya, it's not about motivating person. It's basically bringing awareness to the person.
Absolutely. The awareness itself becomes motivational to them, for them.
Yeah. But as a coach, we are not motivating. He himself finding, okay, I'm successful so and so places. This is what I have done. It feel more of being understood, more of being acknowledged. And the client start opening up more.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Satyajit, you want to make some point, please?
Yeah. Vinodji, I'm just coming to that point that, from most of the times we are successful at the system and the environment, the system in which we work, and the habits which we have in that particular environment, we become successful. I mean, that is my my understanding, and one of my earlier coach said that it is that there are different factors playing in your success. But as the situation changes, like you are jobless or the whole environment changes, like now I'm in a coaching journey, the whole environment is different. I am not able to adapt to that system. Maybe my strengths are not able to get adjusted. In this context, how one is, as you said, one is strengths make me aware, make me motivated to handle the new environment, right? But is there anything else which will help, so that the strengths can be built to understand the environment better and change my system to adapt to the new environment, be successful again? Is there anything else, other than the motivation? As you rightly said, awareness, motivation can
It's
happen
not
more
about
with.
motivating. Like, no, Satyajit, it's not about motivating. It's about acknowledge being better understood to the person. It's being kind of a make person to understand that today my job position not correct, but I'm a useless person. I have been successful in so and so things, or I have been successful in so and so area. It's being is correct positioning, correct understanding of self, and that's what then the coach is in a better state of mind with as a whole.
Yeah.
In the whole process, he may get motivated. That is okay, but we are not motivating him. We are helping him to understand better.
We know that may not be our objective to motivate him.
Yes.
But the fact that it builds, like we also said earlier, that experience that, look, I have also been successful, that reinforcement strengthens his self-belief about himself. And that whole experience offers him a motivation that, yes, I have, yes, let me do it because I can also do it. So in that sense, it has value over and above feeling more connected for the rest of the conversation. He feels far more positively energized because of this stronger self-belief and, if I may say, self-esteem that I can also do it.
Yes, Pramod, this is what point I want to make. Correct. Thank you for the elaborating. Okay. Anybody else has for any other point before I move further? Okay. So looking into time, I need to move further. Another important point which I observed is about value system. When you meet the senior leaders, some of the leader has very deep values, very strong values. And when you meet the leader with very strong values, they're very difficult, more, or you cannot say very difficult, they're more difficult to change. Person where value systems are easier, completely easy to change. Person more deeper value is more difficult to change. And once you go to more senior leaders, they have comparatively more deeper values. And in such cases, where the coaching become important, that we should not touch the value system of the person rather than respect them. There is a psychological point of view theory that our behavior is some of our value systems and the circumstances or situations. Now, situation is changing, but value people does not change normally once somebody is elder. Value remain the same. So we have to work on the behavior part. When we are working on the behavior, if we are somewhere touching value system of the person, then person can come back and he may not change, rather he will get disconnected also. So while working with the more and more senior leader, is this more applicable? We should be very careful about caring person values, and to care person values, we need to know the person values and respect them. I have seen coaching, engagement breaking in between because somewhere we are touching values of the person. If somebody has grown in the life to at a certain level because of those values, and we are touching those values, no, this is not acceptable. Person may not say, but they get disconnected. So it's very important to be understanding and valuing what their value system is there, and working on the only behavior part of the person, not on the values. That is what I want to say here. Any questions anybody has? Or I'm not sure whether I'm able to clearly put my point or not. Yes, Ajit, please.
Sir, but are we saying that we are not working on the values because how the beliefs or habits will change or the system will change if the person doesn't work on the values?
Yes,
Correct?
Ajit. Yeah, correct.
I'm just saying, because one of my coachee, she is very ethical and she's very particular. She's not doesn't want to follow any unethical ways to be successful. But it has become a hurdle, and I don't want to be her to be unethical, but I'm not able to help her out in terms of ethically to be a successful. Probably because her value system, you know, something has to be worked on her value system.
Yes. One is that as per some theories in psychology, once person become 19, 20 or so, their values does not change. Behavior change. If we try to change a value, okay, you have to become successful, you have to change a value. For the time being, it may reflect person is changing, but person tend to go back, or we call it slide back, where person was. And person may not be comfortable in the coaching journey also. As a coach, we need to find out what can be other ways of getting the success, without touching the values. If you look at, say, the theory comes from, I believe, MBTI. MBTI give a theory. They says you talk about behavior of the person, and there is always motivation to change the behavior of the person, but don't touch the value systems. Once person understand my behavior, I am doing this behavior because of so and so my motivation, and my values will remain intact. Another person need to be rest assured your values are not being touched. Your values are intact, and I respect your values. Person will be comfortable. The moment person feel like my values are being questioned, or I may have to lose my values, the person will become uncomfortable in the journey. So it's as per the theory. So coming back to your specific question, we need to understand and protect her, rather assured her about her values, and work on the behavior part. Yeah, and please.
So, I was just saying that in the interest of time, I was thinking that maybe the last 10 minutes we could look at inviting back Sunil and you and the audience to bring questions that they may have for both of you. You've shared frameworks, you've shared insights based on your own experiences, and maybe that how everybody here might want to have questions for Sunil and for you.
Yeah, I'll just summing up in next 2-3 minutes.
Sure. Okay.
So Annie, on this point that Vinod was making, I just want to say that you obviously don't question somebody why he or she has those values, but if those values are becoming roadblocks in the growth of a person, then we help him or her explore and become aware of how that value is manifesting, because sometimes it is lack of awareness that the person continues to stay with a certain behavior, and underlying that behavior are certain values. So if we gently can explore with that person that are you aware and are you comfortable how this value manifests in the form of behavior, you realize that the person himself is okay to sort of say that, yes, I think there is a need for me to reflect about it and see what can I do about it. So instead of being a no-go area, is it not worthwhile to let a person reflect about it in case, because there are cases when a person is not aware of the consequences and impact. I just wanted to put it on table.
Thank you, Pramod. See, values always manifest behavior. But if we bit assured person about their values are intact and work on the behavior, that is how your behavior will be affected because of this value. Let us change the behavior, something in neuro-linguistic programming point of view. Rather than where person does not feel my values are under question, then person more comfortable for that behavior which you wanted to see. That's a basically theory I'm trying to put in. And just as a last slide, because it's a time pressure also, just to close as a last slide of my session before I join along with the Sunil. This again a theory from the MBTI. We all as a coach, forget about for the time being coaching, as a coach, we all have different 4 personalities. And what this theory says, while we are in the mid of the life, maybe 30s or 40s, we activate our dominant style. Maybe by 40s, we activate our second style, second personality, by 50s, third, by 60s, fourth. But if we, work on ourselves, probably we can activate our all the four thought process or all the four personalities even early also. So once as a person, we have different personalities. For me, then it becomes easy to understand and connect with the different coaches because I have different thought process. I have different personalities. So this again, the theory from MBTI, and we can further maybe because of time, I may not be able to talk too much about it, but this is something we can think about. So with this, I conclude, and I think go back to you and Sunil.
Thank you very much. I think we'll use these last 7, 8 minutes in case you've heard both the gentlemen. If you have questions that you might have for either Sunil or for Vinod, please feel to use the raise hand icon. Yes, Adi, you had something.
Yeah. Thanks, Anne. I have a question for Vinod. Hi, Vinod. Thanks for the wonderful session. I relate to the behavior as an iceberg principle, right? What behavior I generally see in my coachee is just the tip of the iceberg. Basically, it emanates not only from value, but also from the assumption, from the belief system. So I try to make them reflect on those assumptions and also the beliefs, which generally relate to a shift in the behavior, which leads to transformation.
Yes.
What is your take on this?
Again, when we talk about different theories, the basic remain the thing, basic does not change. How we explain theory change. If you go by the iceberg point of view, what we are saying is the behavior, and below are our belief system or the values. What I was trying to say in the slide, be person assured the person your values are not touched, your values are not questioned. Let us work on the behavior part. And it is possible when you take more informed decision. Okay, my so and so value, this behavior has to change. Your values are not being questioned. And put it other way, if you go from neuro-linguistic point of view, sometimes we believe like our values, our behavior goes together, but we have better control over the behavior, lesser control on the values.
So I resonate. Yeah, Vinod, I resonate with you. Most of the time, values are non-negotiable, right? People do not generally tend to, negotiate on their values. But yes, as far as assumptions and beliefs are concerned, it helps a lot in the coaching conversations to reflect on those.
Yes. So that's why I'm talking coming from there only. Values are for many people are non-negotiable. So values are non-negotiable. Don't touch them. Rather than
I agree with you on that.
That's where I'm going to talk. Yeah.
Great. Are there any other questions? So then I know I rushed you also while you were talking.
I think there's some question for Sunil from Karthik.
Oh, sorry.
In the chat box.
Yes. He says, Karthik says, which the name you referred at the beginning of your session of the author creator of the model? You're on mute, Sunil.
Yeah, sure. And more than the name, this person, Otto Scharmer, his contribution to the world is fantastic. He led a group of people to create this framework to enable the leaders who work with the global sustainable goals. And that work has actually permeated all aspects of this global work. So really a very, very big contributor to the world we live in today. And I think a fantastic role model to create the kind of success which is based upon creating emotional contagion and social contagion in this world. So thanks, Karthik.
Satyajit, you had a question?
Yeah. I mean, just to ask that when we are restricting ourselves to the values, does that mean that person has to, I mean, because the values are helping that particular coachee to interpret the environment or interpret and bring a change in the behavior, right? I mean, that is my understanding. So probably then the only option left out, maybe I'm judging the situation, but I'm saying that he has to shift to the environment where his values are nurtured. I mean, is it that the only option? I mean, I used to prefer that, okay, change your values. I'm not saying break the wrong, I mean, build up wrong values or something, but I'm changing, adapt to your values in a situation that you are able to adapt to that environment.
No, I'm not saying, Sarjeet. Values need to be looked at positively. Whatever people are successful there because of those values. So they need to be interpreted in a positive way rather than being obstacle. And somewhere in the current profession, current situation, it looks like a value may be coming. Then we should talk about the behavior changes, not the value per se. And where the difference into two things, where you have better control over actions, not over the basic or what is there in mind. So value need to be respected. A value need to be seen from positive side. Yes, Shalini, I think is the question.
Yes. Hi, Vinod. My question is to you. So very insightful session. What you just said, Vinod, that values are really non-negotiable. And I completely agree to that. I mean, it can be very risky to touch a person's value. You really can't, expect it to be changed. But we also say that, our behavior and action comes from our value system, right? What values that we hold and what beliefs that we do have. Now, if a person is behaving or acting, of course, as per the value system, so how can we really, work on changing the behavior without, touching the value? So can you really give some more, insight on that, or maybe that can help us as a coach?
Yeah. The first thing is we have to make people aware that you are acting so and so way because of your this and so values. Once person become aware, this action is because of my this values. And the second step, like in the current profession, current job, your some different behavior is required. So this behavior, you give the motivation for the behavior. So person change your behavior and keeping the assurance my values are intact. Because values and something you touch me not. And more, it is more applicable for senior people. More senior people are, more seasoned people are, they're more possessive about their values. So they're touching the behavior, keeping values intact. But first step lies, as your question is making people aware, talking more openly, talking more frankly, more candid conversations required there. Not anything via something you are directly, indirectly you're touching value. No. First make him aware, have a conversation around it.
Yeah, so you mean to say what I understood that we can talk more about the person's behavior and the required behavior. And so then the person can get better insights and discoveries and can tone down and tone up that value that the person has by himself or herself.
Shalini, I'm further adding what you're discussing about relationship with value and behavior. We need to discuss that also with the coachee. If we do not discuss, he or she assumes something. Let us discuss very openly. Your values are so I respect and because that you have grown, keep that. But this is the behavior you need to change probably. Are you comfortable with that? So then we are talking about a behavior change and not value change. And person understand, yes, my values are intact.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vinod.
Do we have 2 minutes? I just wanted to share an example on this. Is that if that's okay with everybody?
Satyajit, I think we're running behind time, and that we've had these wonderful conversations around values and belief. But I wanted you, Sunil, to talk about it and on your thoughts. And I'm going back to this framework that you spoke of last week when we were in session. So with that, then we can wrap this session.
Yeah, thank you very much. So one thing, this fascinating conversation about values and behaviors actually links back to the framework that I shared. So in this mix of values and behaviors, I'm going to throw another layer for you to think about. And that layer is the layer of identity. Who am I being at this moment when such a behavior is taking place is a fantastic question to explore. And if you want more, look at Dilt's model, Dilt's psychological levels, and it's a fantastic layer to this discussion, which will enrich and empower and elevate the heart of coaching. So with that, thank you, Anne, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Sunil and Vinod. I'm sure there are lots of questions. I see a lot of comments, but both these gentlemen continue to be available to you on the on our Mumbai Charter Chapter group. So please feel free to write into them. But to you, Sunil and Vinod, thank you so much guiding us, taking us deep into the soulful, skill-rich session, which is both grounding and elevating in equal measures. To the audience, just want to remind you that this event has been approved for 4 CCEUs, and we'll be sharing the feedback link towards the end of the session, where you can then submit details of how you'd like the certificate to be issued. I think this is a good time for us to all switch on our cameras and also take a photograph of each of us as we've been present here. And I'll request Nandini for you to take these photographs. So everybody, please switch on your camera. We smile.
Give me a moment.
Yeah. We're on multiple screens, so Nandini, you'll have to probably scroll through the pages.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandini. So, yes, we're now coming towards the close, but this is our most important capstone session, straight from the heart, a reflective conversation to seal today's learning and emotion, authenticity and presence. Please welcome Amrita Singh, Master Certified Coach, in conversation with Tanaya Achrekar, Director, Research and Publications.
Thanks, Anne. And let's dive into this conversation with Amrita. And this session is titled as Straight from the Heart. So, hi, Amrita. It's indeed a pleasure to be with you today at the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter. As we gather here, not just as professionals, but as passionate listeners. We've been here since morning, and most of us are hoping that we wrap up on time so that they're able to go ahead for lunch. But we want to ensure that, we keep them waiting by adding a lot of value. And we also see that people are hungry to know a couple of things from you. So before we go ahead, I have a question for all of you that we want you to reflect on for a couple of seconds. And that is, when did your coaching persona last make someone feel deeply seen, not just skillfully guided? And we want you to hold this thought for yourself. And meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Amrita Singh to you all. Amrita is a Master Certified Coach with over 25 years of business experience and runs her independent practice, Back to Source Coaching. As a Master Certified Deep Transformational Coach, she has created her own unique model of coaching that integrates her understanding of the Bhagavad Gita to the coaching profession. As a full-time coach, she enables CEOs, top team leaders, and professionals to embark upon an inward journey of discovering their higher purpose and creating a vibrant, fulfilling, and meaningful life. As a coach, trainer, and a mentor, she also teaches ICF-approved coach training programs in India and has supported over 500 senior business leaders, learning and development professionals, independent trainers, and individuals graduate as coaches to engage interactively with you on a theme today. She is here. And the theme that we have is engaging the heart of coaching when competence meets compassion, care, and empathy. In the coaching world, we often celebrate competence because these are the very few things that we learn in our coach training, ICF competencies. So our ability to set goals, how do we structure our conversation, how are we navigating the ethics and the ethical framework. But as we grow as coaches, we realize competence alone may not be enough. The power of coaching is unlocked when it becomes a human to human experience where the coach holds space, not just with mastery, but also with heart. So what we're going to do here is, this is an open forum for you to ask questions to Amrita, whatever comes up for you when it comes to coaching with the heart. To get the ball rolling, I'm going to be starting with 1 or 2 questions, but please feel free to raise your hand or put your questions in the chat so that Amrita could answer those.
Thank you, Tanaya, and thank you, actually, ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter, for inviting me to be part of today's conversation. And it's always a privilege to speak to a room full of coaches. And when I look around, and I know that I am amongst people who embody compassion. All of you, I'm sure, are going to agree that just the nature, by nature, I think we're all compassionate beings. We're empathetic. We care deeply about each other. And many of us are actually drawn to this profession because that's the very quality that's, present for another, just to be present for another human being in like a deeply respectful, non-judgmental, loving way. And yet, as you know, the topic for today and in our world of coaching, where does compassion meet with competence? And, Tanaya, you were talking about it a little earlier. I'll just share 2 things before I open it up. But yeah, competence, of course, is the foundation for our profession. And it's what we learn in our coach training. It's the structure that we build through the many hours of practice, through mentoring, through reflection, through feedback. And in fact, competence is measurable, and that's why it's loved. And that's really what earns us our ACC, PCC, or MCC credential. And I'll explain that why that's so important in just a minute. But compassion, on the other hand, at least as I see it, is really who we are. And so I really loved Sunil's question in closing, asking, who are we really being? And I think coach training doesn't give it to us, but it definitely awakens us to it. And it expands our capacity to be with our clients and not just to coach them. And as we lean into this quality more and more, my sense is that we start embodying it. And then it radiates through our presence, not just in a coaching session, but irrespective of where we are, it's felt in how we show up in the world. And when I look at it from a client's perspective, I would say that our initial coaching engagement, going back to the ICF the credentials, is completely about competence. I don't know about all of you, but I know for me, for sure, the first look the way that I'm seen as a coach is as a little cell in an Excel sheet. And in that, they will fill ACC, PCC, or MCC. And that's really on paper how we are first viewed. But the reason that they choose us as coaches, they stay with us, they come back to us, is really because, not just because of our competence, but because of how they feel in our presence. And that to me really is compassion in action. So in the true ICF core competency manner, I would just share very simply that the what of coaching is competence and the who of coaching is compassion. And that's really the magic of our work, is in the intersection of those two. So I'm going to stop and pause and invite in this conversation just to keep it open for your reflections. Anyone's welcome, your comments, questions, and let's have a conversation, not just from our heads, that's welcome, but from our heart. And for that, I have only one request. Please don't pin me or Tanaya. This is a conversation. It's a conversation from the heart. So I'd love to see each one of you in the fullness of who you are, at the fullness of my screen. So I just invite you to keep your cameras on. Let's all be in gallery view and let's all just have a conversation. And you're free to ask me anything. I can only promise you I'll answer to the best of my capacity, competence, but from my heart. So over to you. Anyone?
Amazing. Satyajit, go ahead. We already have a hand raised.
Yeah. Amrita, I mean, rightly, I think in 2 words you said something. That is what is the competence and who is the compassion. My question or maybe point to explore here is that how fast we reach to this what and who of the coaching with the different theories and different methodologies and different beliefs. Isn't it the biggest success factor? That's one. And second, how what can help us to reach to that faster so that within 6 sessions or 8 sessions, we help that coachee to reach to that what and how, and if that is possible, I think he's going to become successful in that particular environment where he's struggling. Whatever. Yeah.
So I think it's very, very easy to reach through the what of coaching. It starts with the first question that you ask of what is it that you want to accomplish in today's session? And you reach the what of coaching. It's instant. But to explore the aspect of what they want to go through or share is completely dependent on the who you are being in that session. And in who you are being in that session, the coachee is invited to explore who they are being in their world. And when that exploration happens, I think that even in one session, forget 6, a coachee can experience themselves in a different light when they hear themselves in the company of another human being who holds them in that space of love and trust, and they feel that. So it's not really so much about the other or the client, it's about how you are showing up in that session. And so your who matters far more than their what. I hope that answers your question. If there's any other follow-up you want to ask, please feel free to go ahead.
Correct, Amrita. I think the who part of ours has to be transformed with this journey. Then automatically the next who will change. Right? I mean, we expect others to change, but we need to change ours
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, many of you, if there's some people who I hear who've been through coach training that we run, and I think the only thing that we speak in coaching, in our coach training as well, is that your transformation is really what enables transformation. We all think that we're here to support and enable another, but actually we're completely here only for ourselves.
So Amrita, you are an MCC, and so obviously you have invested enough on the what of coaching, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
At what stage did this who you are being really became, if I may say loosely, as important as what of coaching, and how did you make it happen?
Thank you for asking that question, Pramod. And to be completely honest and answer straight from my heart, the only investment I have ever made in coaching and continue to make every single year is in the who of coaching. I don't think that I've invested at all in the what of coaching. And I'll explain that very quickly with my own personal example. My very, very first coach training program that I ever did was in 2012. And that coach training program was completely about the what of coaching. And I loved it. I loved every part of it. I enjoyed it immensely. And I felt, wow, I was just, an entrepreneur who had sold a business, got coached, started a coach training, did my coach training, received my credential after 9 months and said, wow, I can start a business around coaching. And I did. And I failed at it miserably. I ran it for a whole year and I completely failed at it, which is when I went back to coaching and coach training, and I got trained again in coaching. And that's when, and most of you know, he's been here, and I consider him my founding father in coaching. I trained with Peter Redding, and that was only the who of coaching. Many of you have been through his coach training program also, and you'll understand that. And that the emphasis completely on that was on taking that inward journey. And from there on, I have every single year invested in my own learning as much as I support others as a coach trainer. And the only thing that I invest in is in the who of coaching, because I really see that coaching is just an excuse for personal mastery. It's just the window dressing that we all offer, but it's really an excuse for personal mastery. And that's what makes it such a joyous profession for me.
That's some plain speaking. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, Sandeep, come on in. Just invite you to put your camera on. You can only ask me a question if your camera is on. Otherwise, there's no connection.
Yeah. Inward journey. And like you've been mentioning about the who and the inward journey. And when we take that inward journey, Amrita, we also get to challenge our beliefs and value systems. And that only helps us evolve. And in the session prior to this, we were told that we should not be touching on the values. When we talking in terms of inward journey, taking that ascension path for the awareness to emerge more as who. So if you can please help me understand it.
I will try. I can share again just from my experience. And I would say that we only attract those clients into our life who are going to trigger us in some way. That's the only client we attract. And if we can be open and present to that, then our own beliefs and our own assumptions gets challenged through the doorway of that client. And of course, I don't mean that in a coaching session, I'm getting triggered and I keep, say, okay, now where does this go with my belief system? But I just allow myself to be open to it. I notice it, I make note of it, and then I go back and do that inner work. The more I do that inner work on what I'm being challenged in a coaching session, the more I expand my capacity to show up for that client. And when I expand my capacity to show up for that client in this manner, the client then knows that they're safe to explore their beliefs, their assumptions, their values in my presence. And that's really what, how I would respond to your question, Sandeep. Again, I mean, I keep saying this and I'll say it many times because I think that's pretty much my answer to every single question. It's not about the client at all. It's only about you as the coach.
I'm really sorry to budge in like this, but yes, what you said is.
You have the precedent. You have the right to budge in anytime. Come on in.
It's not that when I speak, I just put my stamp on. Let me be a normal, ordinary person first before even I become a coach or the president. So let me be at my place. I think what you said is quite intense for me. I would love to have an example. If you can give a live example, it will make me much more understand more clarity. I need a lot of learning on my way to going ahead. Thank you.
Let me ask you that what is the example that you're seeking?
I think you said about this to the self more than the client or the coach. I really would like to know from your experiences any of the thing where you have to come back to yourself and maybe look at yourself first, grounding or whatever you call it, or your value system or anything before even, some session, something has happened and then you got into reflecting to be yourself, connect to yourself. Maybe I may have done it, but for me, it's very difficult to visualize if I've really done it.
So let me share an example. And, I would say that as I share this example, I really honor my client completely in the manner in which I share it. And he just shared a post on this on LinkedIn just yesterday. So it's I without taking his permission, I would say that since he shared it on LinkedIn, I have permission to share it with all of you here. But this is a session that I had with him yesterday, day before yesterday, and as we explored in that session, what was happening in that session was there was this aspect of himself that he was sharing about how he has this innate capacity to see inside another, to see inside of himself. And he said that when every time that gift shows up, I know I have this intuitive gift. And I want to know how I can leverage it in my coaching. That was the agenda of that session. And as we explored that session, each time he would refrain from seeing inside his own self, even though he had the gift of seeing it in others. And what he referred to in his session was that, yeah, I think what I was doing and what came up for me at the end of it is that I'm doing a lot of spiritual bypassing. I can see my light, but I don't want to see my shadow. And when he said that, I wrote in my little book, in which area of my life am I doing some spiritual bypassing? And I sat and reflected with that. And something did come up for me in an area of my life where I am bypassing something by just feeling, oh, so content, oh, I've arrived in this space. And I know from my experience that each time I feel that and each time my ego shows up, there's something that will come to test me. And it does. And it did. And that's the opportunity for me to go back, do the inner work myself, and show up 15 days later for my client to support him on his journey. Does that help?
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah, most welcome. Yes, Dexter, am I saying your name right?
That's right. Absolutely right.
Come on in.
These are such interesting conversations. So my question is, how do I show or bring more heart into coaching conversations when there could be a fear of losing control or hold of the structure of the coaching session, particularly in corporate environments? I mean, people tend to ask the coachee, so how was it? And he could say, or she could say that, oh, we had a wonderful chat because I brought more heart into it. And then they are wondering, did you really discuss anything? I mean, what was solved? What problem was solved? What objective got, fed? If you're only having a chat, what are you really doing? And nobody really realizes the chat is the heart. So what's your take on that?
So I would, again, frame it from my own experience. And I'd say to all that 98% of my coaching is in the corporate world, 98%. And all of my coaching is heart-centered coaching. And when you say heart-centered coaching, I just want to emphasize that it is not saying that the mind or the intellect or the head, whichever way you want to call it, has no space in the conversation. Of course, it is welcome. In fact, the intellect, the head, is the one that makes meaning of everything. But the heart, as I see it, is the one that allows for what wants to emerge in that conversation. And when I said compassion in action, that's really what I mean. So if we are able to hold both, space for both in the conversation, and yes, it is a beautiful conversation, and we don't see it as a chat. We just see it as a heartful conversation. And any of the questions that you asked me is best to ask back to your client. So what did you receive from this session? And they will tell you. I can give you another example from coaching. That there was a gentleman I was coaching, and he was the head of R&D of a large pharmaceutical company. And our conversation was about, the objective was about how he shows up with the rest of his team, right? And through our conversations, and there were almost 3 or 4 of those conversations that we had, where all he spoke about was his son and his estranged relationship with his son, who was 22, who he hadn't spoken to for almost 3 years. Now, is that a coaching conversation? Well, by me, 100% yes. And I won't go into the details of the conversation, but when we came to the midterm review after 6-7 sessions, I asked his sponsor, his reporting manager, there was a peer of his in the conversation, and what are you noticing about this person's presence and how he's showing up in meetings? Because that was the objective. So I had to ask that question. And the amount that they shared about how much he had shifted in just being able to listen to another person's perspective, invite other views in, not just be the one who is being prescriptive about the way he leads. And where did that come from? And if I asked my client that question, which I did, in him shifting his relationship with his son, it has to show up in how he is with everybody else. You release something in a conversation, in coaching, that is going to have a ripple effect across all. We all learn in coach training, we all teach in coach training that it is a holistic place. Then why do we shy away from it when we become a coach? To hold that space for the head and heart, both in a conversation.
Picking up on that, may I just add one statement or question if you look at it that way? So insight would be when the head and heart are in coherence?
I don't like to label it that way. I feel that as a coach, if I am anchored in my heart space, only then will I be able to connect with the heart space of my client. And in that connection, insight is generated.
Okay. Thank you.
And I have no idea whether it came from his head or his heart, and I quite honestly don't care. But I only just focus on ensuring that my deepest sense of self connects with his deepest sense of self. And then leave the magic to happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I can see Anju's hand up. Yes, come on in.
What an interesting and enlightening conversation, Amrita. Thank you so much. So my question is because I also deal with corporate employees. Do we have compassion or we don't? And is it something that we develop over a period of time?
What do you think?
I feel that I have seen different kinds of employees, some who already have it and they show it when they experience something different than their normal behaviors. Some either don't have it because that's why they are unable to show it. So I'm still deliberating upon this aspect of compassion bit. I mean, it's talked about the most by leaders, but seldom do leaders practice it. That's what has been my experience while coaching senior managers specifically.
So I'll respond to this question really again from a space of saying that what you believe in, you will see in others. And to expand on that, I'd say that I feel, and my experience and my sense is that every single human being is compassionate because that is who they are. Every single human being, without exception. Leader, no leader, coach, no coach, every single human being is compassionate. Is that quality awakened within them or not is what the difference is. And you will only be able to see the compassion in the other when you awaken it within your own self. Then you can see it very clearly. So the invitation, again, going back to that whole, thing of beliefs and assumptions, and I got some part of that interesting masterclass prior to this is that if you believe that, these leaders have it, but they're not showing it, then that's what you're going to see. But if you believe these leaders have it, and in my presence, I can support them to figure out ways in which they can show it, then they will. You have to trust yourself to be compassionate, to awaken that in another person. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, to a great extent.
So what are you taking from this?
I'm taking a reflection on how I can evoke this emotion while exploring and co-creating with them in my sessions, and how can they get present to the fact that they use it and bring it to the table, so that it is helping them only become better and unlayer certain portions of their humility, trust, you call it, or you call it the way of being, in a beautiful way.
Nice. I'll just build on that one piece which I'm tempted to share, is that would you all agree, and if you'll agree, just give me a thumbs up, that compassion is a value. Do you agree? Yes? If you agree? Yeah. Okay, great. And if compassion is a value, then I would say to Anju and to anyone else who has this question, is release your agenda of wanting them to act compassionately and just be compassionate in your session. And then automatically they will be inspired to act compassionately because they'll see you embodying compassion. And they'll say, wow, this feels so yummy. It looks so good. It's so amazing. How can I be this in with the rest of my team? And then that will become something that you'll start exploring in your conversation. Okay. All right.
We have time for one last question. So wondering who wants to make the most of this opportunity.
We started with Satyajit, we'll end with Satyajit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Amrita. The questions are powerful in the coaching. That is what we are
I'm
doing
sorry,
here.
but I can't hear you quite
Am I audible?
clearly.
Am I audible? Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
See, the questions we say are the powerful part of the question, right? But the hurdles are also raised by us through questions only. We are questioning ourselves only. Correct? The same questions which are supposed to be powerful, the same questions are our hurdles in our life, right? Doubt, fear, aisa hoga kya, this will happen, not happen. Correct? All these are questions within ourselves. And that is what is stopping us from compassion or changing ourselves. So how do we change that mindset towards those questions? That is my question to you.
I will see if I've understood it properly and then respond to it. Is what you're asking is that all the questions, the so-called powerful questions, are all just hurdles within our own self. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So one is that I applaud ICF for removing the idea of powerful questions from the competencies. Because really, I think it's not really about powerful questioning. It's really how they've reframed it as evoking awareness. And it's whatever you're seeing as a hurdle or whatever is the obstacle, whatever which way that you're seeing it, whether it's for yourself or your client, I think it's such a simple question to ask them is, what does that mean to you? Okay, give me an example of a hurdle.
Let's say I want to help
I can't hear you.
The question comes that how do I attract?
I'm sorry, Satyajit, but I can't hear you at all.
Satyajit, sorry, we can't hear you. So we'll have to skip your question.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think he
we'll
has gone
skip
up.
his question.
I'll just respond to it in 1 second. Whatever is the obstacle, you name it. If you ask, say, what does this obstacle mean to you? It becomes a being question. If you say, what do you mean by this obstacle? It becomes a doing question. And the choice is yours as a coach, whether you want to go down the pathway of being or you want to go down the pathway of doing. And there's no right or wrong or good or bad to it. It depends what comes to you in that moment. You ask that question and see, because every question evokes awareness in the other, and whatever it evokes is just a doorway for a deeper exploration. So have fun with it.
Great.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Amrita,
so
for that.
much.
You're
Yeah.
very welcome.
Yes, thank you. So I was saying this has been deeply human and heartfelt close to the day. And I'm sure all of us are now going to go back and reflect on how we can make our sessions heart-centered coaching sessions. And Tanaya, thank you so much. I mean, I kind of stopped looking at the watch because I was so lost in this conversation. And thank you for bringing that back. So yes, we are at the end of our session today. And I'm going to invite Anju Saini to do the vote of thanks. And while Anju is there, Nandini, if you can post on the link the feedback survey so that then everybody can then submit it as we end this conversation today.
Yes, I'll do that, Anne. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. From coaching from the heart, where competency meets as the theme of this wonderful session today, to evoking awareness as the big takeaway for me personally. On behalf of ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter and on behalf of a wonderful MC team who put this magnificent show together, I thank all the speakers and all the attendees, all the ICF Mumbai Charter champions, and from across India. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for your presence. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being available and exploring compassion, humility, trust, and so many other areas of emotions through coaching with so many wonderful speakers since morning. It has not only impacted the emotional well-being while exploring so many questions, so many exchanges of knowledge and thoughts, but also the physical well-being. There were so many other takeaways when Nilmani was talking about the trust element. And when Amrita concluded it with a beautiful word, replaced by ICF Mumbai chapter on powerful questions to evoking awareness. On this note, thank you so very much, everyone. And we look forward to meet all of you and more on the 21st of June in the physical session, which is going to happen shortly, announcement of which will be circulated in the coming days. Thank you once again and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone. You can
Nandini.
open your mic and you can speak whatever you want to, because it's time to say bye-bye and goodbye. All the speakers, right from going back from Amrita to accept this invitation, even she was in US, but she came back in a very short notice. She came on the stage. And Amrita, we know that your one master class is ready. We are going to catch you. Don't say no to us. We've got a lot of speakers already lined up for 21st or June and beyond also. I'm overwhelmed with all the support which I'm getting from all the members, most of the members, either from ICF chapter, MC team, I think has been doing great work. Our 3 wickets are down today. Who took over the charge, and immediately we had the second line of command who took over with seamlessly. So very, very thankful to all of you behind the scene who's been working and making it happen. Each of you who are present from morning till time, Amazing. I don't have any word to say about you. You are the great supporter and you make this thing happen. And believe me, whatever we committed on your behalf to have it 10 months, we are going to have it. The energy level is very high. And I'm sure you must be getting the induced energy here. We are also catching you from your energy. Thank you very much for coming. I didn't want to say, but I could not stop myself by saying thank you to each one of you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Thank you.
The conclusion is incomplete without your expression, Sanjeev. You've been a great, great inspiration to the entire MC team. So thank you so very much for leading us from the front.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sanjeev.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anju.
Thanks.
And thank you for managing the MC job. And Tanaya, that was fantastic. How you managed this straight from the heart. Yeah,
Thank you.
I think the first arrow from the heart or to the heart was from Tanaya. Okay, so thank you, Nandini, for being behind the scenes all the time, but helping us with some really tough things that we do. So
My pleasure. Let's do.
I'm so glad
Thank
that
you,
today
everyone.
happened.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Shiva. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. We
Yeah,
have
because,
certificates of appreciation for each of our speakers, which we'll be sending them directly.
Yeah, we could.
So that they
Or we would
remember.
prefer that we meet on the 21st in person and then hand over.
We may not have all the speakers there because
Okay.
some came from from other institutions.
Oh.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Sunil.
Sunil and Vinod, your session was particularly so engaging. I mean, wow.
Yeah, thanks, Sunil. Yeah.
I love the
Okay.
frameworks both of you used. Very, very nice.
Yeah, thanks. Very, very engaging day. Yeah, keep up, MC.
Thank you, Karthik. Yeah,
More power to all of you.
and we know that we are going to engage you very soon.
I love it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye,
Priya.
Priya.
You have been
God
all
bless.
these years, and your
Lovely.
presence makes the difference.
Thank you. Thank you, dears.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.